Thanks for being here. First of all, maybe you could just tell us a little bit about the legislative priorities.
Yeah, well, as a party, we do a little different than many other states or the national parties do. We're not just a cheerleading society for Republican elected officials. Once we win elections, we want to put those electoral victories and turn them into policy victories. So we have a list of legislative priorities, generally things to focus on in the platform, to basically tell our legislators that these are what the thousands of Republican delegates voted for and wanted you to focus on. It gives guidance for us during the legislative session when we're testifying, when we're messaging, and those are the issues that you'll hear more from us about than the other things in the platform, usually.
So on that note, how would you grade the previous legislative session compared to others, and in terms of how many of these priorities it accomplished?
Well, it was the best one in terms of accomplishing our priorities. We effectively accomplished 4 of 8, or 3 or 4 of 8. We passed the heartbeat bill and passed a Roe v. Wade trigger bill that will outlaw abortion when Roe v. Wade's overturned. We passed constitutional carry. We passed a religious liberty bill that will make sure your churches aren't shut down on Easter again, and we passed election integrity legislation. So you could say we had, at least on priorities, we had the best session we've ever had. Problem is, it doesn't feel like it because Democrats had a lot of wins too. And they're accumulating wins more than ever before. And they're not only doing it in part of government or in Texas local government, but they're doing it as part of the administrative branches of government. They're doing it in corporations. They're doing it in schools and academia. And they're doing it by controlling every institution in the United States of America, except for currently state government in Texas as it relates to us.
Well, I'd like to home in a little bit on school choice, since I know you've been paying attention a lot to that.
Yes.
The most recent school board elections that we had, general school board elections, maybe you could sum up what trends you saw, since I know you're paying attention to several school districts around the state.
Oh, absolutely. So Republican Party of Texas got more involved in local elections than we've ever been. I appointed a committee before the local elections that would help us determine where to put resources and what to do. Long story short, we made national news because conservatives across the state of Texas swept school board races. We won about 75% of the school board races across the state that we were involved in. And if you want to know why Democrats captured virtually every institution in our society, it's because they got the schools decades ago. And we got to take the schools back. You can take Congress, you could take the president. I would trade that for every school board in America being held by Republicans.
So just to turn a little bit to another issue that's real hot right now.
Yeah.
I was up early this morning waiting for the Dobbs opinion. Mm-hmm. And so if the Supreme Court does what it signaled it's going to do and reverses Roe, what kind of legislation would you anticipate the state might start considering if, the trigger ban gets enacted, elective abortions are banned?
Yeah.
What would happen after that? What would you like to see?
So if the trigger ban gets enacted...
or it starts becoming enforced 30 days after and so forth, right?
Not enacted, I guess, becomes effectively bans abortion in the state of Texas. I think the focus will be, now it has a civil penalty for doctors. It also has a criminal penalty. I think a lot of it's going to be holding DAs to evidence that they're presented. A lot of DAs have effectively wanted to create abortion sanctuaries across the state of Texas by saying, no, we're not going to enforce this law. So I think one is figuring out how we're going to get DAs to enforce the criminal aspects of the law against doctors. And 2 is going to be companies that are going to try to circumvent the ban by paying and incentivizing people to cross state lines to have abortions and then bring them back.
Sure. Well, I guess my last thing, as a general bird's eye view, what issues do you anticipate taking the center stage at this particular convention this year?
At this convention, I think, it's always legislative priorities. I think we won't have a competitive race for chair. We're going to have a competitive vice chair race, so that's always going to be a focus. It's going to be platform, and it's going to be legislative priorities. And the idea is there are so many things that the Biden administration has done to mess up America and to destroy America. Which ones do we pick as priorities? It seems like there's more and more things to fix every day. How do you limit it to just 8? But I think we're going to pick property tax relief, school choice, protecting children in schools, banning child gender modification, again, protecting children. I think you're going to see a border priority to strengthen the border and fight Biden's open borders. And I think you're going to see protecting the Second Amendment, which is under attack right now.
Okay, that's all I got. Thanks so much for talking to us.
No, thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.